Good morning. Good morning, everyone. How are you? I am a little bit late coming to the party this morning, but I hope you've all had a great week, and I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying the posts that I'm putting out these days, because I've done a cross between some quotes for you to reflect on, along with the tips, right, and the tips and what to look out for, and how, like the little mini hows that we all need, those little mini baby steps that we all need. Um, so I hope you're enjoying them. They're certainly being enjoyed across the other social media platforms. So I hope it's the same with you guys in here, because you guys are my number one priority when it comes to all things um, thriving after cancer, right? How do we get back up? How do we rebuild? How do we discover who we are today this side of our cancer battle? How do we make sense out of the big emotions that are going on? How do we make sense of the emptiness that we can feel? How to make sense of who we are today? So that's us in this group. This is my main focus. But I'm really enjoying the activity that's going on over on the other social media platforms, and I hope you're a part of that too. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us begin today's Fearless Friday. My eyes are not focusing today, so I hope it is my eyes and not my screen. Hang on one second. No, I don't think it's my screen. Okay, go away. You go away. Now I can see. That's it. Now I can see. I can see if you join me. I can see if you comment now. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Okay, doesn't matter. So today we are going to be talking about one of those quotes that I put out during the week. And the quote said, embrace love, kindness, and compassion. And I believe that needs a Fearless Friday, because saying to embrace this, it's far easier to say these things than it is to actually live those things, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. How we embrace, how we can start to show ourselves some self-love and self-compassion and self-kindness, in the same way that we extend it to others. So let's I'm jumping ahead though. Let's come back to the beginning. So I've made my notes. You know me. I'm trying to stay on track today, because it's quite a big subject and I don't want to go off on too many tangents. So I am. I've come prepared with my notes. But if you do see me looking down, it's because I'm kind of like keeping myself on track. But so let's start at the beginning, and the impact of not being able to show ourselves that kindness. And for me, being hypercritical, pushing myself beyond my limits for many, many years, being unkind with my words, like being my inner words, allowing my inner critic to take over, and having absolutely no empathy for myself, led to burnout. Now you know my story. That burnout led to 7 very long years of very serious illness that culminated in cancer. And it was through that journey, though, of illness where I discovered, I discovered who I was. Right, I discovered myself. I'd was told by the medical team when I was in my mid-30s that if I didn't change my lifestyle, that I was going to die. My lifestyle consisted of over-exercising, eating all the wrong food, drinking too much whiskey and vodka, like living off coffee, grabbing food in whatever train station or airport I found myself running through that day. and believing I was never enough, right? To have like that screaming banshee of an inner critic, deafening, deafening you, um, is the complete opposite end of the scale to allowing yourself to embrace the love, kindness, and compassion. So 30 years of living like that, it's gonna take its toll, right? So it's one of those things. If I had advice for my younger self, for my it would definitely to embrace compassion and empathy and kindness for myself. So that's my story of not being able to embrace it, and the impact that has. I also had really big goals that I was always pursuing, and if I didn't quite hit the mark, or if I didn't do quite what I wanted to do, I used to really beat myself up as a failure and not being good enough, and really cruel. I used to be really cruel to myself, and I know I'm not alone in that either. So why are we so good at extending love, kindness, and compassion and being empathetic towards others, but we can't bring it to ourselves? And the answer is we have to appreciate what self-compassion actually um, actually looks like for us. So basically, what I'm saying is we embrace it by practicing it. We embrace it by spending the time to work out what that would look like for yourself. That's what I'm talking about here. Practice, practice, practice. Now, we've done there are videos in the archives on overcoming that bullying voice and what you need to do to overcome the bullying voice. So I'm not going to focus on it here. Go check it out in the archives. Um, if I have time, I'll link it below actually, so you can go and watch that one. Um, but we have to slow down so we can see where it is that we don't show up for ourselves, where, if anywhere, we can show ourselves kindness and when we can't, when we can show ourselves self-love and when we can't, when we can be compassionate to ourselves and when we can't. Right, that's sort of step one. Slow down, pay attention. Yes, pay attention to the stories. And I'm going to share with you 5 tips now on how um, we can acknowledge and embrace all of ourselves. And what I mean by that is we don't just offer ourselves love, kindness, and compassion when we're doing our best. We also need to know how to embrace love, kindness, and compassion when we're feeling really down, when we're being really harsh with ourselves. How do we stop that momentum? How do we slow it down, turn it around, and start to show up for ourselves? So, 5, maybe 6, but 5 for definite. Because I've written 5, but as I'm talking to you, it's like, oh, there's a 6th one coming up here also. So, 5 or 6, we'll see how it goes. Always remember, if you have any questions, and it doesn't matter if you're watching this live or whether you're watching it on catch up, whether you're watching it on YouTube or here in this group, it doesn't matter. If you have any questions or you want to share any of your stories, then please do so in the comments, because I do come back into the group periodically, keep an eye on everything, answer the messages that you lovely lot send me, and respond and blah blah blah. So, tip number 1. I'm beginning to think we should start these Fearless Fridays with a breathing exercise so I ground myself, because my Friday mornings are quite frantic and I can feel it sometimes when I sit in front of you. I'm kind of like, I'm blah 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 and a bit scattered, and I'm sure I wouldn't go off on so many tangents if I grounded myself. Maybe I'm going to make a note of that. I think next time we're going to start with some breathing exercises and start our Fearless Friday off on a more calm footing. Back to those 5 tips. And I've mentioned it already, and that is practice. Like practice, 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 practice showing yourself that kindness. So to be able to do that, we slow down and we get to know our triggers that send us into a bullying inner critic state, right? And then practice. What would you say to your best friend? Right, that's a really good question to reflect on. If my best friend shared what I'm going through now, how would I respond to her? How would I show love and kindness and compassion to my children or my grandchildren? And that is the level of kindness that you need to show for yourself. So when you slow down and tune in and you hear the negativity going on, you stop yourself. Right? This is an old story. It's an old story. How can I show myself some love, kindness, and passion in this moment? And sometimes that could look like getting outside and just breathing. Maybe it's a glass of water. Maybe it's just taking to your journal and writing everything out. Maybe it's just going for a nap. I don't know. Maybe it's just that we've got this. We're okay. We've got this. It's scary. What's happening right now is scary, and it's no wonder that you're feeling so anxious. But we've got this, right? Some nice positive. A friend I know uses affirmations in times like this, where she'll go and she'll just stand in front of the mirror and she'll remind herself of who she is. So, practice. 2, mindfulness. Okay, 1 and 2 are kind of the same, right? Mindfulness. Pay attention. Use that journal. Use that meditation and reflective time, that prayer time, whatever it is for you. But be mindful of the inner chatter. Stop it or slow it down, turn it around, bring that love, kindness, and compassion. What would I say to a friend right now? What would I suggest? What would I do? Tip 3 is to allow yourself to feel the emotions, right? Allow yourself to feel them, because it's only by allowing that we're able to move through them. Now, do not get stuck in these big emotions. That is not what we want, but we do want to acknowledge how we're feeling, right? Acknowledge how you're feeling. That's a really important baby step, right? Acknowledge how you're feeling. And then you can use your journal to unpick them and get to the bottom of it. You can use tapping, like the EFT. There are some of those videos in the archives also, if you need some support there. There'll be many ways. There'll be many ways to allow yourself to sit with those feelings, to allow them to transmute, pass through, understand them. Okay. Self-care is tip number 4. When was the last time you did something kind for yourself? Like, when was the last time you showed yourself a loving act of kindness? And that, in a nutshell, is self-care, right? What do you need to feel loved, right? Self-love. What do you need to feel that you're being kind to yourself, that you're making good decisions for yourself, that you're allowing some compassion when things don't go your way? Like self-care, what does that self-care look like for you? Yeah, there's another video on self-care. I don't have to go into it because we're nearly 15 minutes in, so I don't have to talk about self-care in the archives. Again, I'll link it below if I have the opportunity. Reframes is tip number 5. Reframing, and what do I mean by that? If you're on a loop of, oh my God, you're so stupid, how could you allow that to happen? A reframe could be something along the lines of, okay, that was an interesting choice. I did the best I could. Maybe I need to study a little bit more on that subject to understand it better. Or maybe I just need to let that go. Right? Right? Reframe. I did the best I could. I did the best I could. That message would have reached the people that needed to hear it. Reframes. I have to do a lot of that after my rambles sometimes. Reframe. Okay, and tip number 6, because we are going to have tip number 6, and that is celebrate your progress. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate every time you are kind or compassionate with yourself. Celebrate your journey. Celebrate every baby step. Oh gosh, how many times do we talk about this? Celebrate the big things, the small things, the what you may perceive it is insignificant things. Celebrate them all. I don't mean you have to throw wild parties for yourself, although you can if you would like. It could be part of your self-care rituals. But celebrate, acknowledge you did a good job. You know, you only spent 2 minutes today beating yourself up when yesterday you spent 20 minutes. Let's celebrate that, right? Because the more you celebrate, the more you ground yourself in gratitude, because gratitude is going to weave through all of these tips, right? Are woven through the fabric of gratitude. Okay, so that's 7. My 5 tips has now gone into 7. Enjoy the extra 2 bonus tips. You're very welcome. And that, my friends, is how we learn to love ourselves, how to be, show ourselves and embrace more kindness and compassion. Self-love, self-kindness, self-compassion. That's what it's all about today. Have the most glorious week. I hope the sun comes out. I hope you have time with loved ones and practice joy, practice gratitude. And I will see you next week. See you then.